that's another of the freeware prizes delivered. So let's get airborne again and see where we're taking the next one to. Another longer flight today, as we were going to an airfield next that didn't survive the conversion to X-Plane 12. It's another polygon on the lake thing again, but rather than using a polygon to make the coast of the lake look nice, this one covered the whole thing up. I made a big polygon with farmland kind of textures on it and placed it over the lake so all of the water disappeared. Then I made a runway, and next to that cut a rectangular hole in the polygon of about the same size so the water showed through that. So you've got a dirt runway and a water runway looking quite similar next to each other. It worked. I mean, okay, it didn't look quite as impressive as I hoped it might be, but it kind of doesn't matter anyway, as the 3D water means the whole thing has sunk to the bottom of the lake, so that's the end of that for the X-Plane 12 version. So where are we going then? The express delivery notes say the next winner works at the holiday lodges located at Lake St Patrick. And if you've not been here before, then it's a 0826 runway, but best of luck if you think you can get in at the 08 end. And I'll certainly not be doing that, as the wrong end of the runway is too close to the mountains, so you would be descending way too rapidly to get your speed under control to land in a barren. Now, there is a possibility you could come in from 90 degrees and then do a last minute turn which would be sharp enough to make a fighter pilot cry. I certainly wouldn't recommend that either, so yeah, we'll take the easy way in. And this big lake just coming up on our left, by the way, that was the one I was talking about earlier, where the old airport was that had to be deleted. Yeah, as for other airports, I'm still converting my NZ scenery, as you may have seen, and the first round of those conversions are just quick forest and tree swaps, so that we get new trees which are far better looking than the old style 2-panel ones. That gets us lots of NZ scenery reasonably quickly that looks a bit more like X-Plane 12 stuff. But then I will do a round 2 of upgrades as well and try and make things look even better. Yeah, I've just got a copy of the new beta test version of the X-Plane 12 WED, the world editor. And just in case you didn't know, WED is the software that people like me use to put scenery together. With the previous version, there have been some file structure changes in X-Plane, which meant it simply couldn't see various assets and things in X-Plane 12, so they were not available to choose and be able to put them into a scenery. With this latest version, I mean, it is only a beta version, but I can now see and access lots of new stuff that's in X-Plane, especially to do with forests, and that's all very nice. We'll need to test it out and see how they look and how tall or dense they are, but yeah, fingers crossed I can make something good from it all for the scenery. Well, once I've read a few instructions and learnt all about whatever changes have happened and what new features we've got to play with, and once again become an oracle of knowledge of all things X-Plane. Or truthfully, I'm good at what I need to know to make scenery, but totally clueless about some other stuff. Still never made an ortho tile of my own, for instance. Although I do have some knowledge outside of just scenery making, but mostly I have you lot to thank for that. So as you would probably expect, I sometimes get messages saying, "Help, can't get your scenery to work." And I'd probably say 95% of those are down to missing libraries, so that's an easy fix. And pretty much every single message I've ever received, which includes the sentence, "I've got all the libraries," means that you haven't got all the libraries. So that's partly why I'm trying to use less of them in Explain 12 to make it a bit closer to being idiot-proof to set things up, although idiots can be very creative. Yeah, that final 5% of messages I get do prove that some people break things in very inventive ways. So over time I have had to learn a few extra things to try and sort out whatever people have done. I still call it 100% record of being able to work out a problem and help people fix things, as it's 100% from people who were willing to put in a bit of effort and work with me. There's twice I can think of where that didn't happen. Well, one gave up and went to Microsoft anyway, so it didn't matter, and the other was whinging about doing a test, which, if it was me, would have taken 20, maybe 30 minutes of actual work, but he couldn't be bothered putting in any effort. I managed to come up with a plan B workaround that kind of masked his problem rather than fixing it, so that was enough to get him to go away. With some more complicated ones, I may need extra info and tell people to try a few options and see if their problem happens with all of them or some of them or whatever. And if somebody can't be bothered to even do that for me, then I do start to lose a bit of patience with how much help I'm prepared to give. But then there are also the head-scratching messages which leave me thinking, what possible thought process led you to arrive at this? Such as the person who, instead of putting libraries into his custom scenery, had put the contents of them in there. So his custom scenery folder was packed full of thousands of individual object files. So yeah, it will be interesting with Explain 12 to see if anybody comes up with some other new and exciting ways to break things. And I'm sure somebody will. Although it's generally not newbies to Explain, as they usually seem to make similar mistakes with not understanding the basics and just need a nudge in the right direction. The worst people are the ones who get past that by themselves, then have a Dunning-Kruger moment and think they know everything, and totally make a mess of stuff. I mean, over time I have completely screwed things up myself with experiments, but the difference is I realise that I might be an idiot and I could be about to do something stupid before I do it. So when my experiment goes horribly wrong, I have the backup I made before I started doing something dumb. And there we go, backing things up. The real key to being a happy Explain user. Right, we're nearly here then, and key with this one is the first few feet of the runway are on quite a downward slope, so landing at the threshold is actually not a brilliant idea here. And just a little bit farther down. Still got a nice little gap in the trees which we can go through. Fingers crossed. bit of a heavy one. We're down. Okay, not brilliant, but yeah, it felt worse than it looked. So, welcome to Lake St Patrick. There's all the little holiday homes by the lake. We enjoy the absolute peace and tranquility and quiet. Apart from that one day per year, when Lake St Patrick turns into the busiest place in the whole of South Fiordland. Yes, and that day is the annual Vlad the Impaler Best Cupcake Competition. People come from all over the world for that. Right, so let's go and park up here. Then we'll try and work out who the winner is. Yeah, excuse me, you two, did either of you win some freeware underpants in the competition? Hello?